Do you truly believe your choices are your own? Or are you merely a puppet dancing to the rhythm of invisible strings? You navigate your life under the delusion of free will, yet every step you take and every emotion you feel has likely been programmed by a master standing in the shadows. Consider your position. You have been bred as a gentle sheep, fed on the milk of kindness, while standing in a den of wolves who understand the beast within man. When you stand naked before the art of manipulation, you do not just lose control, you surrender the very identity you think you are defending. Cast aside the fairy tales of your mentors. This world does not operate on the axis of goodness. It is propelled by the cold mechanics of power and the relentless necessity of influence. Do you tremble at the thought of being controlled, or does a part of you, the part you dare not speak of, ache to hold the strings yourself? You must realize that the human heart is not a fortress, but a lock. Manipulation is not the act of a common thief breaking in. It is the craft of finding a key forged from the target's own insecurities. It is time to strip away the veil of these toxic psychological strikes, not to cower from them, but to finally master the game. As I noted in my writings, men are generally ungrateful, fickle, and false. They are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. By framing manipulation as finding the key to a lock, you appeal to the viewer's desire for the calculated focus on self-interest that characterizes my philosophy. Use these opening minutes to make them realize that being a good person is a luxury that often leads to ruin among so many who are not good.
To rule men, you must first accept the cold reality of their nature. They are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. They are so simple and so subject to their present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Consider the technique of love bombing. The manipulator does not attack your strength. They besiege your soul's greatest vacancy. They flood you with a manufactured adoration, an artificial heat that makes you drunk on your own perceived importance. But a wise prince knows that affection is a fragile thread, broken at every opportunity for self-interest. When the bombardment stops and the warmth is abruptly withdrawn, the victim is left shivering in a vacuum of their own insecurity. They will do anything, surrender any secret, and grant any favor just to feel that false sun again. You are not stealing their loyalty. You are merely reclaiming a debt they believe they owe for a love that never existed. When one target is not enough to secure total submission, the master employs triangulation. This is the art of the third side, introducing a rival, real or imagined, to force the target into a desperate competition for your favor. It is the psychological embodiment of my doctrine. A prince should always foster some animosity against himself, so that by crushing it, his renown may rise higher. By bringing a third party into the dynamic, you turn your target into a beggar for your attention. They become so preoccupied with defeating their rival that they forget you are the one holding the leash. Do not waste your breath attempting to educate the masses or reform the broken. Never try to fix a fool. Learn to handle that stupidity like a weapon. If they are blinded by jealousy or greed, use that blindness to lead them exactly where you need them to go. Once you possess the key to their fears, you do not just occupy their time, you own their mind. The common man is a creature of the surface. He judges almost entirely by what he sees, and rarely by what he can touch. Therefore, it is not necessary for a master of the mind to possess every noble virtue, but it is absolutely essential that he appears to possess them. In this game of shadows, truth is a luxury that the masses do not deserve. The wise man constructs a truth that serves his own ends. Consider the technique of mirroring. By reflecting the target's own behaviors, values, and even their cadence of speech, you create a psychological veneer of destiny, the illusion that you are their ideal companion. You are not being yourself. You are being the person they are most inclined to trust. Be a great pretender and dissembler, for men are so simple and so subject to their present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone willing to be deceived. Your image is the velvet glove. It must be soft enough to invite them in, yet structured enough to conceal the cold geometry of the iron fist beneath. To truly dominate, you must understand the dual nature of the beast. You must know how to be both the fox and the lion. The lion is magnificent, yet he is easily snared by the traps of his enemies. The fox is cunning, yet he cannot fight the wolves. To navigate this world, you must be a fox to recognize the snares, and a lion to terrify the wolves who would dare challenge your authority. This brings us to the most cold-blooded realization of the Masterclass, the choice between affection and dread. While it is pleasant to be admired, remember that he who seeks to be loved without knowing how to make men fear him will end only in betrayal. Love is a bond of obligation that the base nature of man breaks whenever his own interest is served. But fear is maintained by a dread of punishment which never fails. Do not seek to be hated, for hatred creates martyrs and rebels. Instead, cultivate a quiet, calculated awe. Let your mercy be a deliberate choice, and your ruthlessness an irrevocable law. Respect may fade with the seasons, but fear is a mark etched into the very soul of your subjects.
The pinnacle of manipulation is not the crude coercion of the body, but the total occupation of the mind. Why waste energy on chains of iron when you can forge chains of doubt? Consider gaslighting, the supreme art of cognitive erasure. It is designed to make the victim doubt their own senses, their own memory, and eventually their own sanity. When a man can no longer trust the ground beneath his feet, he will reach for any hand offered to him, even the one that pushed him. As I have written, men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see what you appear to be, but few can feel what you truly are. By distorting the eye of your target, you do not need to lift a finger to enslave them. They become voluntary subjects to your guidance, begging you to define a reality they are too broken to perceive for themselves. To control a man's destiny, you must first control the landscape of his knowledge. Deception is, at its core, the strategic control of the information flow. By filtering what a person hears, sees, and believes, you do not just influence their choices, you construct the very world in which those choices are made. You must be a great pretender and dissembler, for the simple-minded are always ready to accept the truth that is most convenient for them. Remember this, the true ruler does not stand upon a throne of gold, they stand within the minds of others. But let this be a cold warning for those who seek the summit. The peak of power is a place of absolute, frozen solitude. You can trust no one, for you understand better than anyone that loyalty is merely a concept that fluctuates according to interest. In a world where you have mastered the art of the lie, you will forever wonder if the smiles returned to you are genuine, or simply a reflection of the mask you taught the world to wear.
Observe the wreckage of a soul dismantled by the techniques we have discussed. Imagine the victim of gaslighting, adrift in a reality that no longer belongs to them, clutching at shadows while their own memory acts as a traitor to their sanity. It is a state of profound, naked vulnerability, the hallmark of the gentle sheep who believed the world was governed by a static morality. They are the dupes of their own simplicity, ruined because they looked at things as they wished them to be, rather as they truly are. In my time, I saw such men fall because they sought to be good in a landscape populated by those who are not, ultimately affecting their own ruin through a misplaced sense of virtue. There is a certain tragedy in watching a mind being unmade, a flickering flame being extinguished by a master of the dark arts. Scary, isn't it? But think about it. If you are the one at the wheel, if you are the one who understands the cold mechanics of power, you will never have to experience that feeling of being abandoned or dismantled again. You will no longer be the casualty of another's ambition, but the architect of your own security. Fear is a far more stable currency than love, for fear is maintained by a dread of punishment which never fails, while love is a bond of obligation that the base nature of man breaks at every turn. You stand at a crossroads where the milk of human kindness has curdled into a strategic necessity. Do you choose to be the player who moves the pieces, or the pawn that is sacrificed for a grander design? In this den of wolves, the only sin is to remain a sheep. In accordance with the sources, this segment utilizes the fox and the lion duality. By first displaying the fox-like empathy for the victim, you then transition into the lion-like coldness of the ruler. As I have written, it is necessary for a prince to understand how to avail himself of both the beast and the man, for one without the other is not durable. This push and pull forces the viewer to confront the reality that being a good person is often a luxury that leads to ruin among so many who are not good.
The world is filled with moralists who will preach to you of kindness and the inherent reward of virtue. They are either fools or the most dangerous manipulators of all, for they seek to keep you docile while they sharpen their own knives. Look at the annals of history. Those who truly shifted the axis of the world were those who understood when to discard the saint's mask for the executioner's blade. Truth is a luxury that the masses do not deserve. The wise man constructs a truth that serves his own ends. You must realize that morality is nothing more than a beautiful garment. If it is tailored too tightly, it will stifle your reach and throttle your influence. In a world populated by those who are not good, the man who insists on remaining clean is merely committing a slow form of political and social suicide. To survive among wolves, you must understand the wolf's hunger, for he who neglects what is done for what ought to be done effects his ruin rather than his preservation. You now possess the ultimate keys to the engine of human behavior, the calculated focus on self-interest that defines the dark triad of the soul. Wield this knowledge with the icy precision of a master sculptor. Do not allow these techniques to turn you into a petty, impulsive tyrant. Instead, transform yourself into a deliberate architect of destiny.
The true ruler does not stand upon a throne. They stand within the minds of others. The world has always been a chessboard, and those who do not understand the game are merely the pieces. And the pawn, my friend, has no right to complain about the moves of the player. Welcome to reality. As noted in my writings, a prince must know how to avail himself of the beast and the man, for one without the other is not durable. By framing manipulation as the reality and the architect's tool, you align the viewer with the calculated long-term planning of a high mock, rather than the careless impulsivity of a common criminal. Wield this script well.